Here's your wrestling news for February 4th, 2022. And your headlines for today include WWE morale sinks to all-time low, superstars have never felt less heard by McMahon. What did WWE have planned for Mustafa Ali at the Rumble after refusing his release? Ronda Rousey praises former WWE superstar who worked with her before return. Beloved WWE producer missed the Royal Rumble, superstars refused to work given his absence. WWE signs daughter of former Intercontinental champion to a contract. Jon Moxley's New Japan return confirmed for next month. Former women's champion bashes WWE's booking of her return at the Royal Rumble. Gruesome injury ends NXT UK title match, injured superstar out indefinitely, and more. We are kicking off today with WWE as it's been previously reported that morale is low in the company right now, with the poor reception to the Royal Rumble being just part of the problem. We now have a better idea of just how bad things are for the roster, as the low morale is something that everyone is dealing with. That's according to Sean Ross Sapp, who said that unlike years past, the low morale and frustration within WWE ranges from those who are rarely on TV to consistent main eventers, and it doesn't seem anyone can escape the current direction the company is heading in. One superstar, who wished to remain anonymous, told Sapp they've never felt less heard in WWE, and that if a member of the roster attempts to speak with Vince McMahon, their comments go ignored, met with haste, or on some occasions, the company will do the exact opposite of their recommendations out of spite. Another superstar, called a longtime talent of WWE, said that nothing matters outside 4 people, but didn't clarify who those lucky 4 members of the WWE main roster are. Sapp adds, "Over a half-dozen main roster talent pointed to issues with continuity and nobody else being designed to do anything. Several talent have felt like they're without a voice and are reduced to making pleas on social media. We're just 57 days away from WrestleMania, and the WWE roster should be excited for this year's 2-night event. But we'll have to see if WWE can, or even will, turn this low morale around on the road to April 2nd. One name who's definitely unhappy is Mustafa Ali, who's yet to be granted his requested release. It's said that during a loud argument between Ali and Vince McMahon, the term value was thrown about, despite WWE not using Ali on TV since last October. Ali didn't appear during last weekend's Men's Royal Rumble either, but there were plans in place for the former Retribution star to make an appearance. Fightful Select reports that in the run-up to the Rumble, one superstar pitched the idea of being eliminated by Ali, presumably to set up a feud between the two. That anonymous superstar was questioned whether Ali would even be interested in the idea, and given a tweet from Ali where he said he'd rather get released than appear in the Rumble, it's safe to say Ali wasn't a fan. At this time, there's no plans in place for Ali on TV, and for now, the SmackDown superstar will have very little to do, despite remaining employed. At the Royal Rumble, Ronda Rousey returned to WWE after a near 3-year absence to win the Women's Rumble match. Rousey looked in fantastic condition considering how long she's been away from the ring, and her performance was especially impressive considering she gave birth just mere months ago in late September. Taking to Twitter this week, Rousey explained the secret for her conditioning as she tweeted praise for Ember Moon, who trained with the former Raw Women's Champion ahead of her return, and plugged Moon's school, the Wrestling Dojo. Released from WWE last November, Moon is now a free agent as of this past Wednesday, and we imagine training with one of the biggest names in UFC history will help Moon earn bookings and work as a teacher outside WWE. Rousey was just one of many returns during the Women's Royal Rumble match, but there was one major absence from the match behind the scenes. Fightful Select reports that Tyson Kidd was nowhere to be found during last Saturday's event, despite being WWE's go-to producer for women's matches ever since his career ended in 2015. Kidd is reportedly very frustrated with WWE at the moment, and the company not using him last week had a ripple effect on the Women's Rumble match participants. Their report adds that given that Kidd is so popular with the women's division, that some ex-superstars WWE tried to coax back refused to return unless Kidd was producing the Rumble. Tyson Kidd is a producer talent want to work with, but he hasn't been around as of late. But between the former tag champion's growing frustrations and WWE's claims that he's still with the company, something's got to give eventually. From 2007 to 2014, Santino Marella was a regular on WWE TV, but now his daughter is getting a chance to make it working for Vince McMahon. Speaking on the podcast Stories with Briscoe and Bradshaw, Santino confirmed that his daughter, Bianca Corelli, has signed with WWE and will be reporting to WWE's Performance Center in 2 weeks' time. A former Ms. Teen Ontario, Bianca already faces high expectations from her father, who says he can't wait to go to WrestleMania in a few years' time to see his daughter compete on WWE's biggest stage. In that same podcast appearance, Santino also teased a return to WWE, saying he's heading down to Orlando in a few months' time, and time will tell what the future holds for the former Intercontinental Champion and his daughter in 2022. AEW news now, as Jon Moxley has been on a roll since his return from hiatus, and he's now making his return to New Japan Pro Wrestling. In a promo, the former AEW and WWE World Champion announced he's coming to New Japan's Windy City Riot on April 16th in Chicago. Moxley last wrestled for New Japan at their New Japan Strong tapings in Philadelphia last October and is a two-time former IWGP United States champion. There's no word yet on who Moxley will face in Chicago, but fans can expect a physical match from the former world champion in his return to the historic promotion. Back to WWE, as during the Women's Royal Rumble match, Melina returned as the number 2 entrant, but her appearance didn't go as she'd hoped. While the number 1 and 2 entrants usually have a good showing, this year's event saw Melina eliminated within minutes after what appeared to be a botch outside the ring. On social media, fans have been outraged with Melina's short cameo in the match, and it appears that the former Women's and Divas champion isn't too thrilled herself. Responding to a fan who thought Melina would have had a bigger part in the 5th annual Women's Royal Rumble, Melina said she felt the same, but that clearly wasn't meant to be. Facing off against Sasha Banks for the first time ever, many believe WWE should have made a much bigger deal about this meeting of two generations, and what we got instead failed to live up to anyone's expectations, especially Melina herself. And we're ending today with NXT UK, which saw a gruesome injury happen this week. During the most recent show, Blair Davenport faced NXT UK Women's Champion Miko Satomura in a Japanese Street Fight Championship match, and things went horribly wrong for the challenger. Davenport suffered an injury after failing to land a jump from the top rope and immediately clutched her leg and rolled away from her opponent. The young superstar also screamed loudly right after the fall, and Satomura would retain the title after referee stoppage while Davenport was checked by the medics and put on a stretcher. After the show, Blair updated her fans about the injury, posting a picture of herself on crutches, and there's no word on just how much time she'll need off. This was a gruesome injury that goes to show accidents can happen any time in the ring, and we're wishing Blair Davenport a speedy recovery. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.